She showed up on my land with a gun, trembling hands, crazed eyes, demanding I sign my family ranch over to her HOA. But when she realized who she was dealing with, it was already too late. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Ken Hart Stories, where true justice meets heart and humanity. They say land remembers its owners. Every tree, every scar in the earth, every sunrise knows the hands that tilled it. For me, that land was my life, a 200-year-old Texas ranch passed down through 6 generations of my family. My father used to say, "This ranch don't belong to us. We belong to it." I never truly understood that until the day someone tried to take it from me. The old house stood like a memory carved into the earth, creaking porch, rusted weather vane, the oak tree where my granddad hung a tire swing that still swayed with the same rhythm as his laugh. Life out there was simple: cows grazing, dogs barking, wind whispering through dry grass. Then came the HOA. They built a new housing development on the edge of my property. Glass windows, white fences, and fake smiles. Their leader, Karen Delaney, showed up the first day with a "Welcome to Oak Creek Estates" banner and a clipboard. She told me they'd be upgrading the area and that unsightly properties would need to comply with community standards. I smiled and told her politely, "Mom, this ranch has been standing longer than your AOA's been alive." But that was just the beginning. Letters came next: fines for my non-conforming fence, threats for my unregistered barn animals, even complaints about the sound of my tractor at sunrise. It would have been funny if it wasn't so real. She thought she could bully me off my land, but I'd fought worse battles than paperwork and fake smiles. What I didn't know then was how far she'd go and how close she'd come to crossing a line no one should ever cross. By spring, the HOA had declared aesthetic emergency measures. That meant anyone within visual range of their development had to adhere to visual uniformity. My ranch, my family's home, apparently clashed with the community's image. Karen came with her little army. 3 men in polos with clipboards, walking my fence line like they owned it. She said the HOA had made an offer to buy me out for fair market value. I laughed. The offer was less than half the property's worth, and not a penny could replace the heritage buried in that dirt. "We'll make this easy," she said, her voice honeyed with menace. "Either sell now or face legal action." I didn't say a word. I just looked her dead in the eye and said, "You'll have to take it from me." That same week, I started finding strange things. Tire tracks near my barn, nails scattered on my driveway, my mailbox smashed twice. It wasn't random, it was intimidation. Then came the night the fence was cut. My cattle got out, and I spent hours rounding them up under the moonlight only to see a silver Lexus idling at the edge of my property. Inside was Karen. She didn't move when I approached. She just smiled through the window and whispered something before driving off. "You'll regret this." The sheriff was no help. "It's civil," he said. "You can't prove she did it." Maybe not then. But fate has a way of evening scores. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I was fixing the south gate when I heard gravel crunching behind me. Karen's car rolled up slow, too slow. I turned just as she got out, her hand trembling, her voice sharp. "Sign the papers." Now, she waved a pistol, small, silver, shaking in her grip. My pulse steadied. I'd seen guns before, carried them for years in the army, but I'd never expected to stare down the barrel of one held by an HOA president in yoga pants. "Karen," I said calmly, "put that thing down before you do something you can't take back." She screamed that I was trespassing on HOA property, that she had the right to defend her community. The irony burned hotter than the Texas sun. I stepped closer, slowly, eyes locked on hers. I could see she was terrified, desperate, but when she cocked that hammer, I acted. In one motion, I lunged, grabbed her wrist, twisted it down, and the gun fell into the dirt. She stumbled, gasped, and fell to her knees. The fear in her eyes had turned to something else. Realization. "You don't know who you're messing with," she spat. "Oh, I know," I said. "I've been dealing with people like you my whole life." The sheriff arrived minutes later. Turns out, my neighbor had heard the shouting and called it in. Karen tried to spin her story, waving her papers like holy scripture. But body cam footage, eyewitness accounts, and the fact that she had crossed onto my property with a weapon sealed her fate. For months, there were hearings, investigations, and lawsuits. Karen tried to claim mental distress, that she'd been provoked. The HO backed her until the evidence piled too high to deny. Security footage, her text messages, even a voice recording where she said, "Once he's gone, we'll rezone the ranch." When it all came crashing down, it wasn't just her reputation that burned. It was the entire HOA. The judge's words still ring in my ears. No association, no individual has the right to claim dominion over private heritage land. I got my restraining order, she lost her seat, and the HOA folded like wet paper. The new residents came by one evening, the same people who once complained about the smell of hay, and said they were sorry. Turns out, even they'd been bullied by Karen. The ranch breathed easier after that. The wind carried peace again. And before this story ends, if you believe in standing your ground, in protecting what's right, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Kind Heart Stories. Because every act of courage deserves to be remembered.